Hey everybody, JK here from Weekend Panda. It is early in the morning here where I am, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 8:13 right now because I was late getting up. But you don't know that because you're watching a pre-recorded video, so whatever. And anybody who's watching live already knows what time it is. So we had some technical difficulties this morning, and we'll work through those as we go. But the good news is that you should be seeing 3 pandas on your screen right now, and that is where we got to yesterday during the stream. If you see on the sidebar right above my head here, it does not look right because, uh, again, technical difficulties, but it doesn't matter. We'll just soldier on and it'll work fine. And we'll continue. So today the goal is to ink the panda character. I'm going to do all the line work in Affinity Designer, which is a vector-based program. The short version of that story is with vectors, once you create the lines, you can blow them up to any size and they'll always look right. So I'm doing all the line work in vector format so that it will be able to be scaled for the game. And I'm not going to pick 1, 2, or 3 right now because we'll just do all the line work and then we can pick it afterwards. But early morning and last night while I was looking it over, I think that numbers 1 and 3 are much more bold and interesting than number 2. And even though I like number 2 as an art style, I don't know that it's right for the game. So while it looks like I'm probably going to ink over number 2, we're probably going to end up going with either number 1 or 3 because there's no point in playing it safe here. I might as well do one of the 2 bold ones. And I'm not sure which one it'll be yet, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So I'm going to turn off my webcam because once again I'm going to lean over the screen here so that I can work on the Cintiq. And there we go. Okay, maybe I can adjust this over a little. Okay, hey, look at that. Looks like it's supposed to look, sort of. Originally, I was going to work on my monitor right in front of me and not the Cintiq because I don't need the pen, or I don't need to really use the Cintiq today. But I couldn't get that to work with Affinity Designer this morning, so we're going to ignore it for now. All right. So I'm going to start by putting a big white square over top of everything and then reducing the opacity down so that I don't have to worry about not being able to see which lines it is that I still need to ink and which ones that I don't need to ink. The other thing that I determined last night was I don't like his feet at all, so they will go into the garbage can, and I'll start that over another time. Probably won't get to that today, but we'll see. So I'm going to be using the pen tool here. If you're not familiar with the pen tool, it is really nice because you click a spot and you click another spot and it draws a line for you. And if you click and hold and drag, and then click and hold and drag, it'll draw a curved line. And then you can go back and mess with that curved line by dragging these little handles around, and you can get exactly the line that you're looking for. And that's what we want today. So that's what we're going to do. And I think the best case scenario is if the lines that I'm drawing are actually fills, and that's going to be confusing to explain, so just trust me on it. However, is that going to interfere with... No, I think we could do that. Sorry, thinking out loud. Okay, so we're just going to get started. And this is, I don't want to say it's a tedious process, but it's probably not the most interesting process that you'll ever see as I slowly match lines to other lines. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have the line be on the outside of this gray line because I want it to kind of match the exterior so I have more options later. And there are a couple ways you can do this. You can go ahead and put in all of the dots that you're going to probably need, which is how I learned in art school, and then you can go back and tweak everything, or you can kind of tweak things along the way, which is what I'm doing now because I just feel like doing it that way right now. But I don't think either way is necessarily wrong. How am I going to do this? Do I want to do the arms separately? That's the question. Okay, I'm going to go back and take those out for a second. I'm going to do the whole body, and then I'll go back and do the arms after, I think. And we'll see how that goes. And there'll be a lot of tweaking as I move stuff around and try and figure out the best line placement for everything. Also, just as an aside, for art people who want to know exactly what I'm doing, I'm holding down the control key to get the little arrow instead of the pen there so that I can grab these handles and move them around. It's a nice little keyboard shortcut that if you're not using, you should, because it's great. There's going to be a lot of just subtle tweaking at the end. Like it's going to be a lot. This is one of the reasons why they teach you, or they taught me in art school, that you put down all of your points first, because when you mess with one of them, you're probably going to need to mess with all the other ones. Don't do that. Okay, sorry. It stopped the line. Okay, here we are back at where we started. So now we have this first shape, and I can go ahead and add a fill to it very easily, and that's what we're looking like. And if I turn off this layer, you can see that's our base shape for our panda, and that will work. So let me see what I'm doing here. All right, turn it back on, and we'll take this fill out. Now, what I'll probably end up doing is I won't have a stroke on the object itself. Instead, it'll probably be made up of a fill. But for now, just while we're inking things, I'm going to leave the stroke on and no fill. Hey, what happened? Deselected. Sorry. So we'll go ahead and turn the stroke back on for now. And I see, I didn't lock this layer, and I should have, because it took away. Now I've screwed everything up. Right, hang on 1 second, sorry. Fill like opacity down. All right. Back to where we were. As you can see, workflow at 8:30 in the morning is not as efficient as workflow for me after I am actually awake. Don't need any coffee or anything, just not quite awake yet. Okay. Let me lock these two layers so that I don't mess with them. Okay. So we have his general body shape, and like I said, I'll probably tweak that a bunch later, but for now it's alright. And now I will do the exterior stuff because it will be easier for me than if I don't. And I made the line width too wide because I was doing stuff. Alright. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to try and answer them while I am slowly and methodically inking this panda. And just as a reminder, this is going to be the character for an upcoming Weekend Panda game. The first game is called The Death of Mr. Fishy, and you will see Mr. Fishy there on your screen, bottom right. That game should be released in the next couple weeks. And it's a nice little bite-sized game. You can beat it in about 10 minutes, so it's nothing major. But it should be fun. It's a dark humor, so my mother won't like it, but you may. What am I doing here? Transform. Okay, so we'll just make both his ears same, but we'll have this one overlap a little bit more. Cool. Now these parts at the bottom here you won't see because this will be in the front range. And once this is filled in, the ears will just stick behind it, so don't have to worry about that. Okay, but I'm just kind of doing all of the inking now at once, and then I will go back and mess with things later. So we'll get his arm in. And the nice thing is I don't have to make this side. Well, maybe I should. We'll make this side nice too, so that just in case I need to animate something later, I don't have to go back and change this. Okay. How do I make this be? Huh, I have not done that in Affinity Designer yet. So I'm sure there's a way. So if you see these little points, this one is a circle and this one is a square. A circle one means that it's going to have a curve and has these handles. A square one means that it is just a flat point. So if I was just drawing another line, any square ones are going to have these hard edges. But if I click and drag, then any circle ones will have these curved edges. There is no doubt a way to get this square one to become a circle one, but I do not know that one yet. So I will have to figure that out later. But for now, that works fine. So, and if anybody who happens to be watching right now does know how to, in Designer, change the square to a circle, let me know. Otherwise, it is what it is, and it's fine. Okay. Got those. Let's do his face, because that's another one that's easy, and I don't have to think real hard to do those. So now I have two options. Because this eye patch on his left side is almost an oval, I could use the circle tool and then mess with the points. I'm not going to, but you could technically do that. I'm going to keep using the pen tool because it's good practice anyway. And then I'll have a little bit more control technically, hopefully, to get it just right. And a good habit is to have as few points on a shape as you can. It's not always going to happen, but if you can do it that way, that's a good thing to do, because then there's less to mess with and you can get nicer curves. And in my old days of doing fredthemonkey.com cartoons, that was that was Adobe Flash or Macromedia Flash back then, and keeping your points down was vitally important back in those days, because the more of these little dots you had on any given shape, the slower things would work and animate, and you did not want that at all. So it's just kind of a leftover habit. Now the computer I have could handle as many dots as I threw at it probably, but back then it could not. So I would try and reduce the number of dots, points, to as few as possible so that things ran nice and smooth. I'm going to go back and just tweak all of these after the fact, because this shape is not great. So what I'll do real quick is I'm going to copy this. Whoops, not like that. I'm not. Okay, so I'm going to leave this on the side here so that you can see what it looks like kind of before and after, because this is this one on this side is not great because it's got a lot of bumps and little wiggles and stuff. So I'm kind of going to go in and just smooth everything out as best I can and get the curves to just really be spot on. And when I do that, hopefully, if I do a good job, when I'm done, I can put it next to this original on the right there, and you'll be able to see the difference between a clean version of the pen tool use and a really jagged, not so great version. And I'm probably going to have to continue to mess with the shape, but for now, let me turn off this one. So if you look at this shape and then you look at this shape, they're very similar, but this one has perfectly curved edges and this one's kind of wobbly. And that's one of the beautiful things about like the pen tool and vector drawing, is you can get just beautiful curves and you can keep tweaking things, maybe a little too much, until eventually you fall into that terrible habit of over perfecting something, and that's not a good deal. But hopefully you can see why I'm using vectors and the pen tool for this particular drawing. I really love Krita, and Krita I'm pretty sure has some vector options now. If not, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Krita does. But I'm just really comfortable working in Affinity Designer because it oh, that's right. Okay, so my apologies. On the sidebar, let me bring this up. On the sidebar there it says Software Krita, and that's what I did the main drawing of the panda in. But now I am in Affinity Designer, so I should have updated that on the graphic, and I did not. Affinity Designer is part of a suite from Affinity, and I will write down the name before we stop the stream today. There's Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer. I'll keep working while I'm gibbering because we got to get this done anyway. And so a little while ago, Adobe, who makes Photoshop, if you're unfamiliar with Adobe, they went to a subscription-only model, which means that if I stayed with Adobe, I would be paying them money every month for the rest of my life, and I don't particularly care for that style of thing. I don't mind it. I think it has its pros and cons, and if you watch any number of videos or streams that I do, you'll probably hear me say this 1,000 times, but I don't really like the fact that Adobe said you don't have any options anymore. So if they would have kept the ability for me to straight out buy Photoshop and Illustrator, I would have gladly stayed. But the fact that they said, no, you're going to pay us money every month, it felt a little too extortion-y for me, so I decided I would leave Adobe and find a new program. Well, the program that I found, and my wife helped me to find, was Affinity. Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo, which are Illustrator and Photoshop, respectively. And I love them. It took me a little while to get used to them, but now that I have, it's just brilliant. Affinity Designer, which is sort of like Illustrator, works so much better for me than Illustrator. I used Illustrator for a lot of years, but gosh, it fought me like every day. I don't know why. Illustrator and I just never got along well, but we didn't, and so it was just always just fighting me and fighting me. So I really like the Affinity programs. If you're looking for something to get out from Adobe's subscription model, they are programs that you can purchase straight out, which is wonderful, and that's what I wanted. And the best part of all is that they are not the hundreds of dollars that Adobe used to charge for their programs. It is much more reasonably priced, and that is a good thing in my book. So I'm a big fan. It will take some getting used to, though, if you've ever, especially the longer you've used the program, at least for me, the harder it is to adapt to a new one. But adapt I did, and I am so glad that I did, because it is so much nicer. And I don't have to pay for a subscription every month, which is a good thing, especially right now when starting out with Weekend Panda, we have no real income, and we're living on savings until we either make this work or we starve to death and have to get new jobs. But you might as well try, right? Okay, so now I have the bulk of the panda inked. What I do not have yet is this middle part for the stomach line and the head line, this black bar in the middle, because I'm not 100% sure how I want to do that part. I'm kind of winging this because why? I don't know why, but I am. So what I'm going to do, I think, is put in just the lines, or see, I'm just not sure here's why. This is why I'm winging it. I'm not sure the best method for doing this, so I'm just starting, which is probably not the best thing that I could do, but it is what it is right now. So how do I want to do this? I'm going to, this is rough. This is where it would have helped to know what style I was going with. If you've just entered the stream/video, well, you wouldn't have entered the video halfway through probably, but if you just entered the stream, you'll see that we have 3 options here, and these are the ones that I worked on yesterday during the stream. They're style options, and let me turn this off for a second so that you can see them clearly. So number 1 has a harsh black outline, which I kind of like because it gives it a graphic style. Number 3 has no outline, and number 2 has a colored line outline. And what I've determined is we're not going to go with number 2, but I have not decided yet if I'm going to do number 1 or number 3. And technically, I would probably ink 1 or 3 very differently than I would if I was doing the other one. So because I haven't picked a style yet, I've kind of painted myself into a corner a little bit. I should have picked a style first, I think, but I didn't. So here we are. And that means now I am going to be figuring it out as I go. Okay, so I think I'm going to make this stomach shape 1 object. And what that means is I'm going to have this wonky line coming off the edge here for a minute until I go back and clean it up, but that's okay because I'll go back and clean it up after. Now here's the next question. In my original one, I have this line purposefully be slightly straight in the middle and then kind of come down. So maybe I'll do two options of this one of which is perfectly smooth and one of which is not. And we'll see which one looks better at the end. Okay. So let's finish off the shape. And again, I'm going to tweak things with the little arrow tool afterwards, so I'm not super concerned about those weird lines hanging off the edge yet. Anybody, any questions or anything? I'm happy to read the questions in the chat, and I will get to them, answering them if I can. I don't like that. Okay, that works. Okay, so now the next thing is, again, this is part of my, I have yet to fully figure out this program. There should be a way to break this handle so that this end I can pull down without affecting this end, but I don't know what that is yet, so I will have to go look for it a little later. For now, it's okay. I'm just gonna do the best I can with what I've got. So I'll have to probably clean those things up at the end. And some future stream that you watch, I will know how to do that, and then I'll be like, this is how you do that. Okay. So there's some extra lines there. And for now, let me save. Okay. I'm going to delete that for a second. So right now we have kind of a more angular stomach line here, which doesn't match this, but it does contrast it, so it might be nice to have. Or I can make that perfectly round. I think for right now, I'm going to leave it straight because, like I said, it adds a little bit of contrast. Excuse me, I got something in my throat. And I didn't get any water this morning that I usually have sitting next to me because I was running late. And there's another reason why you don't run late, or maybe not do streams at 8 in the morning. Anyway, okay. I think we're coming along. All right, then now we have the feet. So now we have two things. I have to fix these weird little edge cases, which I'm not sure. What's this? Corner tool. Maybe this is what I need. Let's try. Nope. I guess that's not what I need, or if it is, I don't know how to work it. Bake corners. I don't know what that is. All right. Oh, here we go. Convert. No. What's this? Break curve. Yes, that's what I want. I want to break the curve. Aha. Okay. So there it is. There is what I need in order to nope. Come on. Whoops. That was not what I wanted. All right. Oh, breaking the curve. Interesting. All right. Okay, I've done weird things that I don't know what I did. So breaking the curve appears to dissect the 2 points, which is interesting and not what I expected, and now I'm not sure how to proceed with that. Can I select both of them? Yes. Okay. So I just need to select both of them if I've broken a curve. That's fine. All right. Learning new stuff. I'm sure there's a keyboard shortcut or something for breaking curves, but I don't know what it is right now, so we'll use the little button. Okay. So now my goal here is to match the exterior line as close as I can with this new line, and it probably won't end up being perfect, so I will have to mess with things, but do the best you can. Alright, that's close. Okay, now we don't have that little bit sticking out. We can do this side too. This is not quite right. Or actually, this may be right, and just my original drawing is probably off, so I probably shouldn't have messed with what I just messed with. Back up and see. Come on, stop. The mouse that I'm using, the scroll wheel is extra sensitive, and so if you ever see the screen just jumping around, that's why, because it really likes flipping out and doing whatever it wants to do. Why are you so not perfect? I have a feeling I'm going to be messing with this line for a while, because I want to get this really right. And it's just something about it is not playing nicely. Alright. That'll be good enough for now. Break this. Line this up. Break this one. Whoops. I think I added a point by accident. So I get the other side of this. Nope. Alright. So before it was doing exactly what I wanted it to do, so I didn't have to. How do I get the other handle? I don't think I'd break it again, right? I don't want that handle. I want this handle. Oh. Maybe that'll work. I'll just leave it broken for a second until I get this line where it needs to be. I'll connect it again. Hey, that worked. Cool beans. Huzzah! I have done everything that I can do while I put off messing with the feet. So that's fun. But now I've run out of things to do except messing with the feet, sadly. Alright, so I don't like how the feet turned out here. I'm going to have to redo them. Let me save. Let me turn on my webcam for a second and we can just chat while I'm sitting here staring at this and thinking about it, because that'll at least be a little more interesting than me staring, or you staring at a blank screen. Okay, so the feet that currently exist I don't like for a number of reasons. Right here, this line doesn't line up with the feet, and that's just hideous, and I don't know what I was thinking there. I was just doing stuff because it was rough and I thought I'd go back and do it later, and then I didn't go back and do it later. So I need to figure out how I want to do the feet here. I have a couple options. So with the arm, it's kind of hidden, or it will be hidden behind the body a little bit. So I could just have the feet sticking out a little, and that might be fun, and it would be easier when I'm working on character stuff to animate it, but it won't be as visually interesting as if I keep the feet on top and show the bottom of the feet. So I think here's what we'll do. What will we do? We're going to shut off that for a second. With that shut off, I'm not sure I like the line on the stomach, but it's fine for now. Let's get a few options here. Alright, I'm going to go back and look at the screen again, so I'm turning off the webcam. And what I'll do is I'll try two different things, and I think in order to do that, I'm going to need to put a fill on the body temporarily so I can put some stuff behind it, and then I'll take that off later. Okay. Let's form, arrange, send to back, arrange, send to back. Okay. So this is closer to what it'll actually look like with the arm behind it. The little tangent that we've got going on right here, right there, I don't like, so I'm gonna have to fix that, but I think I will fix it later. We'll just, or do I want to fix it now? We'll fix it now, I guess. The good news is I should be able to just pull his arm down a little bit and that'll fix it. Or do I want to push the arm up? I could put it up here instead. I don't know. For now, we'll just put it down here, and then we'll mess with it later. Okay, so I have the option of putting his feet, which for a second I will need, okay. Let's put his feet here. Like this, and send them to the back. So I can have it like that, where his feet are behind, or I can put his feet up front, which for now we can just use circles, and later we'll okay. So here's our two options. Come on, scroll wheel, please. I'm trying to do streaming here, mouse. It's just drunk all the time. It just really loves to flip out. Okay, so we have option 1 and option 2 for feet. We can go with feet behind, which again, to animate, that's where they'll probably be anyway. But given the game and the fact that he will occasionally be rolling, I think having the feet up front makes more sense. So 1 here is going to be the style that I probably animate him for little clips and cutscenes or whatever. I don't know how much actual animation there will be, but there'll be little illustrations. So I'll have it be this version, and then when he's in game, it's going to be number 2 over here. So let me save this, and let me grab this guy and move him away just temporarily. You go in the corner, and then we'll move him back to the middle, and we'll keep messing with things. Okay. So this is the character model for the upcoming game. It is 8:53 currently. I was gonna stop. I usually try and keep these to an hour or so that nobody gets bored or wanders off into imaginary territory where I tend to ramble towards the end, so keeping it to an hour makes a lot of sense. So for the last 5 minutes or so, I will probably keep working on the feet. I'm going to try and or maybe I'll try a couple more options. That would work. Let's do that. Because we already have them here, we might as well. You have power of digital, you might as well use it. Okay, so we'll keep these first feet as round, and then we'll make these feet different. Let's try rounded squares. Why not? And then I'll try some weird combination of the two. That's super strange, but hey, whatever. Well, I would try stuff, right? Because you just never know what might come out of it. If you missed the previous stream, which will be up on YouTube, if not now, then soon. This panda design was a mashup of a bunch of panda designs that I did. So the lesson there is keep doing versions and then steal the best bits from every version and see what you come up with, because you just never know what it might look like, and it might be cool. So now I'm going to do some sort of variation on the squares and the circles. I'm going to make it different shape, but similar. All right, good enough for now. I'm going to fill those in. Okay, so now we have 3 variations of feet. Honestly, I don't hate the weird rounded square one nearly as much as I thought I would. So maybe there's something there, but I don't like the straight up round ones. They don't do anything for me. So I'm going to go with between these two. Oh, before I do that, let me save. And we'll just move him aside because there's no reason to really delete anything. But I will. Well, not that one. I will put an X through him so that I remember that we don't want that guy. Okay. Okay. So we have these two currently, and I think this might be one of those times when I'm going to sit with it for a little while and see how it feels. Let me just put a fill in this. Does it work? Oh. Yeah, that works. Okay, so okay, so there's our pretty much final design minus the feet and the coloring and the style choice. Still so much to do. That's okay. We're getting closer and closer every time. But I'm not 100% sure which feet I want to use. Turn the webcam back on and chat. So I'm not sure which feet style I want to go with. I probably would keep tweaking both of them just to kind of figure it out. But like I said, I don't hate the weird square feet for some reason. I thought I would, but I don't. So I think there's something there that I want to mess with. And yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up for today, and then I'm going to continue to work on the feet. I do not have a schedule for streaming next week yet, but I am planning to do some more streaming next week. We will probably next week work on some level design stuff, not not the design in terms of gameplay, but the design in terms of what the world will look like. So we'll have platforms that I'll go into more detail that then. But we'll have platform design. I'm gonna need. I think the game has six or so. Six. I think the game currently has 6 unique world styles. So we'll have, like rolling plains and jungle and maybe a cave level or world and ice maybe. I don't know. The standard good old video game types of levels and worlds. So I'm going to need to come up with 6 different kinds of level design. But first I need to nail down what style of the whole game is going to look like. So my goal for next week streams is going to be create a base generic level and then try a bunch of different styles on it and then import this panda that you see before you into the game and just try stuff. So it's going to be, hey, Proclaim says hello. Hey, um, chatting now is great, but now I'm wrapping up. So hopefully next week I will release when the streams are going to be. I'll probably post it to the normal places like Twitter. So if you found the stream on Twitter, then you can check out when the next one's going to be. The first, let me also say that the first of these 3 streams dealing with this panda is now up on YouTube. So if you go to the Weekend Panda, see right here where it says Twitter at Weekend Panda. If you go there, you can find the link to the YouTube channel where the first stream is now live, and then we'll get the second and third up over the weekend probably, and then you can watch all 3 and you can see how we got from the rough design to the panda design you have before you today. So that'll about wrap it up for today, and I appreciate everybody stopping by. If you have any questions for me, just pop over to Twitter, or you can always, come to the stream and ask in a chat. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody, or week if you're watching this pre-recorded. Bye.